Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of She Power right here on WTV Kenya. This is the show where we celebrate all things women. Now the elections are coming up next year and it is only fitting that we get to pick a couple of wonderful women who have great things to offer this wonderful nation of ours. Today on set I have with me Mrs. Hellen Otoolo, who is vying for the Vihiga gubernatorial seat. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Let's get into this conversation. It's amazing, first and foremost, to have you on the show. And I think the first question, even the viewers, I'm sure will agree with me, is why the governorship?
Yeah, why the governorship? Well, I've served in senior administration in KU. I was in management. I was a director. And I got to learn a lot of things about service delivery. So for me, that exposure was really good for me because I felt this is knowledge that I need to use. If I start my own company, which I eventually did, I have a consultancy firm. But then something happened. I went down to Vihiga County. I come from a place called Bunyore, Rwanda. And that is when I began to see the problems of Vihiga County. You know, the road network, the marketplaces, you know, the stages, you know, they are not organized. The place is not planned. There's no physical planning. Children are on the market streets selling tomatoes. You know, they're not in school. Drug and substance abuse, very high, very prevalent. Youth idling, including also the men, and women really taking the brunt of working hard in their small shambas, going to the market and trying to take care of their families. So I started asking myself, hey, what is the problem here? Because I grew up in the city, and, you know, where things are relatively comfortable. And when you go down to the county, you find that you need to do a lot of renovation of the place so that at least people get to live a dignified life.
The situation is completely
It's really,
different.
really different. And that is how I ended up now, obviously, with looking at the political policies, the governance. I realized the problem is with the governance. I also did a career fair, basically just trying to educate the young people on making career choices, because I felt I needed to be useful outside the academy. For me, devolution is not just about politics. I think devolution basically means you also devolve your talents, you devolve your gifts. Once in a while, go down to the county, you know, encourage the people, you know, the students over there, the young people over there, so that they also feel like we are on the same level when it comes to accessing the so-called the goodies. So I saw a lot of, I encountered a lot of problems when I was trying to get the county government to support me in doing the career fair. So I knew what needed to be done. All I needed was just, you know, some backup support from them. All I needed to do was talk to stakeholders, talk to industry, so that we link industry with the students, so that the students, by the time they get out of college, they will pretty have an idea what they want to do.
And did you get that support from the county government?
I did not get that support. That is where now my problem started, because of the bureaucracy. You know, you do the proposal, you see the highest officer, and, you know, you check you round and round. Eventually, I managed to pull it off, but not at the scale that I wanted to.
So you've seen all these negative situations and your eyes have been opened up to, you know, the situation at the county level. What gave you that extra push to want to not go for women rep, not go for, you know, a member of parliament, but want to take the top seat at the county level?
At the county level, yeah, because I realized that is where the problem is actually. You know, governance begins from the top. Corruption, if you have corruption at the top, then it affects everything else, you know. So I realized if we got the governance right, then everything else will fall into place. The governorship is very important, number one, because that is where you have your policies that are governing the county. That is the office that is supposed to deliver services and ensure that those services are delivered. This is the office that is supposed to attract investors into the county. Because the governor the county is like a small state.
Yes, it is.
And therefore, this person has got executive powers and is able to negotiate in what we call PPP, public-private partnership. Is able to talk to NGOs, to donors, so that they come in and boost the county. This the buck stops with the county government.
Yes, it does.
At the top. So I felt, with my knowledge about, I've been exposed to how to do a strategic plan, how to have ISO certification, what do you need to put it in place so that you have quality management. And then I also realized many of the officers in the county, some of them are qualified to do their job, but they're political. They're political appointees. So they're not going to work because they are relying on the patronage of the boss, whoever has appointed them.
Oh, yeah.
So that compromises service delivery. So that is why I decided to go for the top seat.
And what do you think is the problem? Is it, our complacency? Or is it the mere fact that we're, in the different counties, they're not really taking their job seriously?
I think we have a culture of complacency in this country, where a government office functions like private property. And I think this is where the problem is. We need to have a corporate approach to business. We need to look at people as clients. So I think it's a culture that we need to change. But because these are political offices, it starts with the common mwananchi.
Oh, yeah. Power to the people.
Kenyans, need to now start vetting their leaders. They should have a score sheet. If you want change, if you want services, then you're the boss. You can fire, and you're the one who hires.
Yes.
Yeah, so people need to know that.
Indeed. Now, as we wind up this first segment, let's talk about your plans for Vihiga. And you've mentioned, the very many symptoms that we have towards the election period. We have handouts, we have different leaders. Now, as a woman going for the top seat at the county, I can imagine there's been backlash. I can imagine there's been a bit of feedback from different quarters here and there. Maybe you can share with us some of that, especially with due regard to women taking, seats of top power. If I may call them that.
It's actually been very interesting. And women need to be very strong to take in some of these barbs from people. The first thing that someone told me is, Helen, why don't you go for woman?
Typical.
Why don't you go for woman? And I asked them, why do you want me to go for woman? Don't you think I qualify to be governor? And they're like, no, you're getting into a field, it is easier for you to go for woman rep, then there won't be such a big hassle. Then I said, but I will still be competing with other women, so it is still competition.
Yes.
They said, no, but these men are ruthless, they'll call you names, you'll be called all sorts of names. Now, I was ready for that. So I told them, no, I think you should allow people to follow their ambitions, whether they're men or whether they're women.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what I want. And then some of them actually labeled me a project of the incumbent.
Oh.
They were saying, that lady, because we are two of us from the same area, we are two Anyoris. So they were saying she's a project.
Goodness.
To divide the votes, the Wanyoris. So I asked them, why am I the project? Why not him being the project out to spoil my vote? Is it because I'm a woman? So I decided I'm not going to allow that to bother me because, people have opinions. And we live in a democratic country.
Oh, yeah.
And you're entitled to your opinion. But the opinion is not truth. Isn't it? An opinion is an opinion. It is your way of your view about things. But the truth is, I believe I'm qualified to run for this office, and I'm in the race. I'll campaign like everyone else, and I don't want people, in fact, to see me as a woman.
Yeah.
I want people to see me as a leader.
Yes.
Not as a woman. I believe women bring something special to leadership. They actually bring, because women are the caregivers, they're the transmitters of knowledge. You educate a woman and you are good to go.
Oh yeah, you educate wezesha dada inua jamii. That's the truth of the matter.
It is, it's true.
Wonderful, Mrs. Otoolo. We want to take a short break, but ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it interactive. You had Madame Otoolo ask, why is more expected of me because I am a woman? Send us your views on SMS 20058. Catch us on Facebook, WTV Kenya, and Twitter at WTVKE. We're taking a short break. Keep it She Power right here on WTV Kenya. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is She Power, where we celebrate all things women. Now, it's about that time where we get to elect our leaders in the incoming year 2017. With me on set is Mrs. Hellen Otoolo, who is vying for the gubernatorial seat in Vihiga County. Now, we'll be getting a bit intimate in our discussion in terms of very many issues that affect women and the society at large. Let's get down to economic empowerment. Now, I want to really focus on women because, you know, we say that the movement has been too much, too powerful, that we've now overshadowed, you know, men and that sort of discussion. But the statistics talk of a different situation on the ground. We look at, you know, 24% of women in senior management. We see that globally, women are paid less than men. Women in most counties and an average of 60 to 75% of the men's wages. Why are we not able to close down this gap in a professional, formal background and also in the informal sector?
I'd probably want to approach my answer with, first of all, the development theories that we've been having. You know, normally we have the international laws and then we are expected to domesticate them.
Oh yeah.
But they take the lead when it comes to policy implementation and changing livelihoods. So remember, initially we started with what we called women in development, the women in development theory. The idea was that if you empower women and give them, you know, find a way of getting them to make money, then you will lift households. But that had a backlash effect. Because you're actually empowering the woman, but the man is being left out. We have a lot of work to do, but we probably need to change the paradigm. We need a paradigm shift where we are saying, let us empower both of them to respect each other.
Exactly.
Because remember, Linda, and I always tell people, you know you're going to empower the girl child, but at what point you are turning her into a man, isn't it? Because what is the role of a man? Provision. You know, decision making. She can do that. You've empowered her.
Yeah.
So is she a woman anymore? Yes, she is a woman. Now, when do you know she's a woman? When she falls in love with that man. The one you didn't empower.
Then
what happens? Yeah, then what happens? It'll be very difficult. Because you never taught her the values of respecting, you know, just being a woman, the sexuality of both men and women.
Yeah.
You know, we need to bring that out. Women and men relate at a very non-academic, non-economic level. They are human beings. We get attracted to each other. So then how do they relate? And therefore, when we are talking about girl-child empowerment, then we need to take those into consideration.
Most definitely.
So that girls can also respect these young men that they're growing up with.
And let's talk about what you're going to do in terms of changing that aspect in Vihiga County, you know, as governor. You know, what issues are there right now, and how do you plan on making it a sort of equitable relationship between the men and the women, and especially to, you know, low-income households, because that is where majority of our voters are situated.
Yeah, the office of the governor is very key when it comes to formulation and implementation of policies that improve the quality of livelihoods. I would actually have a department of ethics in the county. And that is the department that would be charged with the responsibility of, again, domesticating some of these international documents that we have signed with our international partners. And then I would also have policies on mining. For example, if you come to my place, we have these huge granitic stones. And it's just there, waiting for us to crush them and make terrazzo, you know.
Yeah.
I would have an agricultural policy. Agricultural policy, there is something called one product per village. It's called VOEP something. Village, there's an acronym for it. One product per village, OPV. That means if you're growing maize, for example, in your village in Busikare, where I come from, and then your neighbor is also growing maize, then where is the market now? You'll be competing for one market. If all these villages are just growing one product, then you will not have a market, because the market will be flooded. You will not have demand. So we can ask, one village to plant maize, another one to plant soya beans, another one to do pawpaw, another one to do this, so that now you're able to have a variety of products that you're able to sell.
Oh yeah, a bit of diversity.
A bit of diversity, and then you're able to make money, and then you also you're boosting your nutritional levels also.
Yeah.
I would come up with an ICT policy. It is so important, because the world is going digital. Now it's a global village.
Yes, it is.
Now we're having digital villages in other parts of the world. We need to have now literally digital villages in our schools, in our colleges. And I have promised free Wi-Fi in all social places. That's in my manifesto.
Wonderful.
Yeah, because ICT does so much. If you have free internet and you're not able to go to college, you can sit behind that computer, get into a course on the internet, even the ones that are being taught in the universities, and you read
Exactly.
on your own. Because knowledge does not necessarily mean you have to sit in a formal classroom to learn. I would also have, I would have a tourist ambassador in my government.
Wow.
I would actually
Why
appoint
would
a
you?
tourist governor. Because, my God, Vihiga County has potential for so many things. Vihiga County has potential for ecotourism. Then we have sports tourism. Guess where the rugby players, the rugby team, Kenya rugby team, where do these players come from? They come from Vihiga. These guys are supposed to come. I would actually compel them to come, start rugby academies, transfer this talent, to others who would probably want, because I'm sure the talent is there. Of course it is there.
Yes, it is.
That is why I would actually have a tourist ambassador.
There's all this wonderful, rich resources that are in your county, and you're obviously running for the top seat. And as you've even shared, there's plenty of backlash. And maybe as we wind up this part, maybe you can share with us, how prepared are you, to fight your way through it? Because the situation on the ground is that we have to, as women, we have to have a more difficult battle, if I may call it that. So how prepared are you for all that, and to make your dream a reality for Vihiga County?
Okay, psychologically, I think I'm good to go. I have learned to take in a lot of criticism and discouragement, and I've also learned to just let it bounce off. So I think it's very important to also be mentally stable, when you're getting into something like this, because you will receive a lot of barbs. Financially, I'm having a fundraising dinner at Tintin Restaurant on 28th, and I intend to invite the business community. I intend to invite major stakeholders as I roll out my agenda. So that I do not want to get into the culture of giving people money. I want people to invest in their leader. That way you have a contract with this person. Because you are the one who put them into office, you expect them to deliver. And not only people from Vihiga County, you too and everyone else should come and make history. Make sure that you elect probably the first woman governor in this country.
Amazing. And we wish you all the best here at She Power, with all the wonderful plans and the dream that you have for Vihiga County. Right about now, we're going into a small segment that we have here on the show. It's called She Fun Facts. And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to She Fun Facts. It's about that time where we get a little bit fun and personal with our guests. Let's get started. So tell us, what is your favorite meal?
Chapati and chicken.
Oh yeah, I was
the natural.
Now, you come from an educational academia background. Now, tell us, what is the first thing you do when you wake up?
The first thing I do when I wake up, and I learned how to do this very recently, is to play a motivational tape. Yeah. Like this morning, I was actually listening to Oprah. Yeah, encouraging women actually. And then I put on some spiritual gospel music or any music that is uplifting. Yeah.
Just to get you started.
Just to get me started.
I like that.
Yeah.
What is your outlook on life in 6 words?
Be content with what you have. Are those 6?
Wow. Be content with what you have. I like that. Wonderful. So share with us, what's your earliest childhood memory?
Wow. My earliest childhood memory is when I was, I think, 13. Is that still childhood?
Yes, it is.
When I was 13, my dad used to work for Kenya Airways. His name was Mr. Hellen Otoolo. And because he was working for Kenya Airways, he had an opportunity to take his family out of the country on holiday.
Yeah.
And you know these are free tickets, huh?
Yeah.
So when there's a paying customer, you guys have to wait. I will never forget, we even composed a song as kids because we were going to London. And it was so exciting. Went to London, went to Piccadilly. Yeah, I think that must have been the best
childhood
memory.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, given that you're passionate about women issues, if God gave you a chance right now to pick differently, whether you want to be born a man or a woman, what would be your answer?
Oh, I would still want to be a woman. Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah, I would want to be a woman because women are very special people. Women are co-creators with God. Women are sensitive. And women bring beauty to the world. They really do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They do.
Great.
They're flowers. I believe that.
I love that. I love that. So now we have a tongue twister here, and you're going to repeat it thrice for us. As it is, we like to improve our English. I'm sure you can relate to that. So here you go. It's the one in purple.
She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells she sells are surely seashells. So if she sells shells on the seashore, I'm sure she sells seashells. Shells. She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells she sells are surely seashells. So if she sells shells on the seashore, I'm sure she sells seashore shells. She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells she sells are surely seashells. So if she sells shells on the seashore, I'm sure she sells seashore shells.
A+.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hellen Otoolo. It has been a pleasure having you here on She Power. Thank you for sharing with us your plan, your dream, and your vision for your home county of Vihiga. We wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.
You're most
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been She Power, where we celebrate all things women. I've had with me on set one of the candidates for the Vihiga gubernatorial seat, Mrs. Hellen Otoolo. She's been sharing with us her plans and perspective on women issues and Kenya at large. I hope you have learned a lot. Reach out to us. Let's keep the conversation going. Our social media contacts and platforms are right there on the screen. I've been your host, Linda Kruger. This has been She Power. Keep it WTV Kenya.